Hello and welcome back to NUMO Garage. Today I'm heading to the Vintage and Classic Motorcycle Club Northern Ireland event being held at the Maharamore Cruising and Sailing Club. Rather than heading there directly, I'm first making my way to Oxford Island on the shores of Lough Neagh, where I'm meeting up with the members of the Northern Ireland Italian Motorcycle Club. As you might expect, there's plenty of Moto Guzzis here this morning, while I'm arriving on my 2001 Ducati Monster S4. It's always interesting to see the different Italian machines that turn up. After a chat and a look around at the bikes, we'll be riding across to Maharamore for the show. Once there, we'll have a look around at some of the motorcycles on display. There are bikes from different eras and manufacturers, some well known, some a little less common, and I'll share a few thoughts on the ones that catch my eye along the way. After a very enjoyable ride over from Oxford Island, we arrived at Maharamore Cruising and Sailing Club for the Vintage and Classic Motorcycle Club Northern Ireland event. The bikes filling the showground were a great mix of British, European and Japanese machines on display. Some familiar favourites, some rare motorcycles and a few bikes I hadn't quite seen in a long time. Let's take a walk around and have a closer look. We'll start with this Moto Rumi Sport. This could be either the Primus series built between 1950 and 1953 or the second series from 1953 to 58. I'm not sure exactly which version this is, so if you know, please let me know in the comments below. Powered by a 125 engine, or a 124.68cc to be precise, the Moto Rumi was quite an advanced little motorcycle for its day. One detail I particularly like is the small air filter mounted to the Dell'Orto carburettor, which is exactly how these bikes left the factory. Another interesting feature is the guided wheel rear suspension with its enclosed springs and chrome covers, giving the bike a very distinctive appearance. Weighed in at around 90 kilograms and capable of around 100 kilometers per hour, this is a remarkable capable machine for the early 1950s. Next up is this beautiful Scott Flying Squirrel. Built by the Scott Engineering Company, Scott motorcycles became famous for their pioneering water-cooled two-stroke parallel twin engines and their distinctive triangulated frame design. Many of the features we take for granted today were remarkably advanced when Scott introduced them. Some of you may recognise this machine as the same Scott that won Best Motorcycles at the North Monaghan and District MCC event in Glaslough in 2025. It's easy to see why it impressed the judges then, and it certainly stands out here today. I don't know exactly what model this AGS, so if you do, let me know in the comments. What I do know is that it's a lovely pre-war machine, probably from the late 1920s or early 1930s. I particularly like the girdered forks and the simple elegance that so many British motorcycles of this period had. This is a Norton Model 50, a 350cc single-cylinder machine from the 1950s. Known for its reliability and easygoing nature, it became one of Norton's most popular road bikes. Next up is this lovely pre-war Norton single. I'm not certain of the exact model, so if you know, let me know in the comments. With its girder forks, sprung saddle and classic black and silver paintwork, it's a perfect capture of the look of British motorcycles from the 1930s. A beautiful machine, and one that still turns heads nearly a century later. This is an NSU 501 OSL, an ex-military 500cc single from Germany. It's not perfectly restored showpiece, but I think that's all part of its charm. The worn paintwork and military appearance gives it real character and makes you wonder where it might have been during its working life. I was particularly drawn to this pre-war Norton. The racing number boards, girder forks and exposed mechanicals give this a real sense of purpose. I don't know its exact history, but it looks ready to line up at the starting grid despite being close to a century old. I've always found the Honda CBX an impressive motorcycle. Its 1047cc 6-cylinder engine wasn't like anything else on the road when it was introduced, and those 6 exhaust headers still make it look the most recognisable motorcycle ever built. It's a bike that draws crowds wherever it goes. This Yamaha is finished in the iconic yellow and black Kenny Roberts racing colours, a scheme that immediately takes you back to Grand Prix motorcycle racing in the 1970s and 80s. Whether parked up or on the track, it's a motorcycle that's difficult to walk past without taking a closer look. This Yamaha RD350 brought back memories to me. I remember seeing one in the window of Mountjoy Motorcycles in Dublin and dreaming of owning it, but at the time it was beyond my budget. The RD350 became one of Yamaha's most popular two-stroke road bikes, and look at this beautiful example here. Is this Excelsior single? Excelsior was one of Britain's oldest motorcycle manufacturers, producing motorcycles from the end of the 19th century through to the 1960s. I don't know what exact model this is, but it's got girder forks, sprung saddle and classic styling. It's a wonderful example of a traditional British motorcycle. This Ducati 999 certainly stood out amongst the classics. When it was first launched, its styling proved controversial with some Ducati enthusiasts. But as time has been kind to the 999, looking at it today, especially in these race-inspired colours, I think it's a fantastic looking motorcycle and an important part of Ducati's history. This Yamaha RD350LC brought back memories as well. A good friend of mine, Jerry Hyland, owned one of these back in the day. And today my friend Kevin would love to have one in his garage. Powered by a V4 two-stroke engine, the RD350LC was Yamaha's road-going Grand Prix replica and one of the most desirable performance bikes of the 1980s. It's a motorcycle that still attracts plenty of attention wherever it goes. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I know a lot more about motorcycles than scooters, but these certainly did add some colour to the event, from the highly personalised classics to the modern Zonte's adventure scooter. It's clear that scooter enthusiasts are every bit as passionate about their machines as motorcycle riders are. I've always liked the look of these Yamaha RD250s with their bright colours, chrome mudguards and lively two-stroke engines. They perfectly capture the spirit of the 1970s motorcycling. This is a particularly nice example and looks every bit as good today as it would have done sitting in Yamaha's showroom all those years ago. I know this isn't a classic motorcycle, but I thought this Royal Enfield deserved a mention. Based on the Interceptor 650, it's tastefully customised with a number of cafe racer inspired touches, including the polished tank, the distinctive yellow headlight. It just goes to show that modern motorcycles can have plenty of character too. I used to own an early Yamaha XS 650 that I bought for my brother. I have very fond memories of it, although the bike vibrated so much that on occasions it seemed to be dismantling itself as you rode along. Yamaha later improved things by revising the engine mounts, but despite its quirks, the XS 650 became one of Yamaha's best loved motorcycles and is still popular with classic bike enthusiasts today. Next up is this 1962 Norton Dominator Sport Special, powered by the 650cc parallel twin. The Dominator was one of Norton's most successful models and became a favourite for sporting riders during the 1950s and 1960s. Even today, it is a timeless elegance and remains one of the classics of British motorcycling. I do like these Honda's NC750Xs. Maybe it's my age, but practicality, comfort and reliability are becoming more important than outright speed. Back to a classic. This is a beautiful Triumph Tiger 90. Really caught my eye. Simple, elegant and unmistakably British. It represents an era when motorcycles were built with character rather than complexity. I've always liked Moto Guzzis, and I did own one. And this is 1000 SP. It's a great example, built for touring rather than outright speed. It has bags of character with its unmistakable V-twin engine sticking out into the breeze. The Honda CB404 takes me straight back to my youth. A friend of my brother's, Killian, had one. It was red when they just came out, and I still remember how special it seemed at the time. Even today, I think it's one of the best looking Hondas ever built. I spoke to the owner of this Harley-Davidson Electra Glide, which is now 50 years old. He restored it himself, and from the condition of the bike, it's clear a huge amount of time and effort has been brought into bringing it back to this standard of finish. The weather certainly played its part, and with the excellent organisation by the Vintage and Classic Motorcycle Club Northern Ireland, riders and visitors were able to relax and enjoy a great day beside the Larne coast. And then this AJS single, probably from the late 1940s or early 50s, and like so many British motorcycles of this period, it's simple, honest design that one has to admire. This Honda 500 takes me back. I had the later 550 version myself, but these early 4s were the bikes that helped change motorcycling forever. Another bike from the era of my youth. This is probably a T-Series Suzuki two-stroke from the late 1960s or early 70s. Reliable, and they had an unmistakable two-stroke sound. This Yamaha DT250 brings back memories because I had a DT175 before I traded in for an IT175, which felt like a real competition bike at the time. And parked beside the Yamaha is a much more modern machine. It's a Can-Am Spider. 3 wheels, plenty of comfort, and a very different way of enjoying the road. And I spotted this Yamaha SR125. This great looking Yamaha SRX, a bike that a lot of people customize, and one that I did think of getting myself to do the same, but this one has been enlarged engine to 631cc, and the owner told me that one of the reasons that he bought it was the distinctive instrument cluster that I really like too, but the only other issue is that it is kickstart only and might be not to everyone's taste these days with all of us getting older and our legs and limbs weakening. Here we have a very attractive Yamaha RD350LC fitted with expansion chambers. Bikes like this helped cement Yamaha's reputation for building exciting two-strokes, and even today the RD350LC remains one of the most sought-after classics for this period. It's easy to see why they still have such a loyal following. And here we have another original Honda CBX 6-cylinder. Even today the sight of that wide engine is impressive, and when Honda launched it back in 1978 it was one of the most remarkable motorcycles on the road, a true superbike icon. And here's the lovely pre-unit Triumph Twin, possibly a Speed Twin 5T, a design that helped define British motorcycling in the post-war years. Simple, elegant, and still a beautiful machine today. And arriving now is the Suzuki X7 250. Let's hear that classic two-stroke crackle, a sound that's becoming all too rare these days. Not just any VFR 750F. This one wears Honda's distinctive anniversary colour scheme, a nod to the company's racing heritage. One of the newest machines on display, well, that was at the event, was the CFMOTO. Shows just how quickly Chinese manufacturers have established themselves in the motorcycle world. Here's something a little different. It's a Moto Guzzi V1000 Convert, the automatic version of the big block Guzzi from the 1970s. With its automatic transmission, was way ahead of its time and remains one of the most distinctive Guzzis ever built. The Moto Rumi Sport was one of the stars of the show, taking home a top prize, and you can see the smile on the owner's face says it all. A quick hello to Frank, who runs the IMI Certified Motorcycle Diploma course at the Northern Regional College in Ballymena. And beside him is his Honda 750 that he has restored, one of the many motorcycles that he's done over the years. This is David's Moto Guzzi Sport. David is one of the key people behind the Northern Ireland Italian Motorcycle and the Moto Guzzi Club, organising many runs, meets and events, and brings us all together. Thank you, David. And now we'll sweep around and have a look at the event before we head home. Well, that's about it for another excellent day out with the Northern Ireland Italian Motorcycle and Moto Guzzi Club. As always, it was a great mix of bikes, plenty of friendly faces, and the weather certainly played its part. My thanks to everyone who brought their motorcycles along, and to the organisers who put on such a well-run event. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me, and if you have, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, thank you for watching and ride safe. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you.